prehistoric monster was so strong that it could easily defeat even Megalodon? What was the ancient hybrid of crocodile and fish capable of? What was so dangerous about prehistoric giant squids? And which animals from prehistoric times survived to our days? Watch the episode to the end and you'll find out this and more. Today, I'll show you some of the scariest sea creatures in history and tell you what they were capable of. Let's go. Look at this picture. A huge whale with an equally huge and toothy mouth jumps on a ship and can easily sink it, or even swallow it whole.
Maybe, maybe not.
This might well have happened if this creature had survived to this day, but fortunately for us, it's long extinct. The Leviathan melville, one of the most feared and dangerous sea creatures of all time. The whale lived on our planet 10 to 9 million years ago. Its life was short by the standards of history because there are no animals that existed for tens of millions of years. Nevertheless, it was enough for the whale to make history. To make it easier to understand, Leviathan is the same as the modern sperm whale, only much larger, more aggressive, and dangerous. These monsters grew up to 60 feet in length and weighed 50 tons. Their main tool was their teeth, huge teeth. They reach 16 inches in length. For comparison, this is twice as big as the teeth of modern sperm whales and about 8 times the size of the great white shark teeth. It's hard to imagine. Given all this, it's not surprising that Leviathan were at the top of the food chain. They easily preyed on marine mammals, including other large whales. Unlike its descendant, the sperm whale, Leviathan did not often dive into deep water and preferred to deal with its prey right at the surface of the water. By the way, it lived at the same time with Megalodon, and even such a super shark could hardly stand a chance against the bloodthirsty and terrifying whale. That's saying a lot. Leopleurodon. A long body, powerful flippers, and an oblong head, and a crocodile-like jaw studded with teeth. That's what Leopleurodon looked like, a monster that lived 160 to 155 million years ago. It looks like a hybrid between a crocodile and a dangerous predatory fish. In fact, it's not a hybrid at all, but a plesiosaur, a separate genus. However, it is indeed as if it took all the best from marine predators and crocodiles, becoming a ruthless machine for the extermination of all life. This is evidenced by the fact that Leopleurodon didn't hesitate to prey on even dinosaurs, and not the smallest ones at that. It waited for dinosaurs near the shore, sharply jumped out of the water, and dragged the lizard into its home. If there were no dinosaurs nearby, but Leopleurodon wanted to eat, it could eat fish, large cephalopods, or marine reptiles. At the same time, it was very difficult to catch it. This plesiosaur masterfully used its flippers and learned to swim away from danger to a great depth. By the way, it wasn't in the water all the time. It had to rise to the surface to take a breath, like modern whales. According to scientists, one breath was enough for it to stay underwater for about an hour. Dunkleosteus. The underwater world is scary. Even when we see fish that aren't the biggest, we can get scared, let alone sharks, which can make your heart skip a beat. But Dunkleosteus is a whole other level. It's a horror in the flesh. A creature that can scare to death just by its appearance and movements. It's also a very dangerous creature. Fortunately, we cannot encounter it because Dunkleosteus lived very long ago, about 400 million years ago. Many people believe that Dunkleosteus is something like a distant ancestor of sharks, but it's not so. The first shark-like creatures appeared before Dunkleosteus, about 450 million years ago. Besides, Dunkleosteus belongs to a different superorder. Dunkleosteus was quite large, but at the same time compact. You can't say that it was too long, but the strength of this monster was not in its size but in its special jaw. In the mouth of the animal there were not teeth but bone plates, and they did their job perfectly. The bite force of Dunkleosteus is more powerful than that of modern lions, hyenas, jaguars, and brown bears. Dunkleosteus bit its prey and then literally crushed it, not chewed it, so its hunting looked very brutal. In addition, there was another trick in its mouth. It didn't even destroy small prey, but simply sucked it in. The animal opened its mouth in an instant, thus creating special pressure. As a result, a powerful stream of water flew into the mouth of Dunkleosteus, along with various animals which had no chance to survive. Perhaps the next animal in the episode, Jackalopterus, were also the prey of this ruthless creature. However, they themselves were not harmless and not small at all. Jackalopterus is what you get if you hybridize a crab and a scorpion, throw it in the water, and rewind time 400 million years back. In fact, this animal is called a sea scorpion, and in some languages it's also called a crab scorpion. However, these animals were much larger than both modern scorpions and modern crabs. The length of some individuals reached 8.5 feet, and this is just what scientists managed to find. They have only fossils at their disposal and not so many at all. It's possible that these monsters were much larger. In any case, they're already considered one of the largest arthropods known to science. As for the battle between Jackalopterus and Dunkleosteus, I embellish here. In fact, Jackalopterus lived in fresh water, unlike Dunkleosteus. Still, it would have been cool to see this sea scorpion and the creature with hellish bony plates in a mouth fight. Jackalopterus itself had powerful claws, which it used to deal with its prey brutally. Apparently, this creepy arthropod hid in an ambush and then sharply attacked the prey, mercilessly destroying it with its claws. Camarasaurus. Many of you know about such a creature as the giant squid. It's a creepy cephalopod that lives at great depths. It's not dangerous to humans, but it can at least scare us with its size and creepy tentacles. But in prehistoric times, there was something scarier. Camarasaurus is a very ancient creature that lived 470 million years ago. It's scarier and more dangerous than all modern giant squids combined. Its oblong body ended in a head with tentacles. It looked like an alien monster, not a creature from our planet. This 33-foot-long squid ruled the world ocean for about 30 million years. This conclusion was reached by scientists who found that, judging by the size of the squid, it was a top predator. In the depths of the Camarasaurus tentacles, a powerful beak hid. Modern cephalopods also have such a beak. With its help, Camarasaurus mercilessly grinded the rather large inhabitants of its time to dust, including creepy trilobites and crustaceans. If Jackalopterus had lived several tens of millions of years earlier, this prehistoric kraken would have gladly eaten them, but it still preferred to hunt simple, plankton-like prey. Although the word hunt is an overstatement, scientists believe that the prehistoric cephalopods simply lay on the bottom and waited, and plankton often swam into its mouth itself. Tylosaurus. Probably many of you have heard of such a creature as Mosasaurus. They were prehistoric sea lizards, which at one time were the main threat to any marine life. But a mosasaur is not a specific animal, it's a whole family, and that's where Tylosaurus belonged to. These are the giant lizards of the Cretaceous period. They were so creepy, dangerous, and advanced that they could not be destroyed by anyone except the very asteroid that killed the dinosaurs and many other inhabitants of Earth. In its time, Tylosaurus was the largest mosasaur of the planet, as well as one of the largest creatures in general. It reached 50 feet in length and weighed more than 8 tons. It could deal with any creature, it could defeat anyone. And of course, it's not just about size. The mosasaur was a very good hunter, and that was its strength. Scientists believe that this lizard rammed the prey, stunned it, and then ruthlessly destroyed it with its long mouth and very sharp teeth. Sharks, fish, plesiosaurs, waterfowl, and even small mosasaurs. This killer preyed on everything. It's interesting, by the way, that modern scientists compare its hunting style with that of the Komodo dragon. I mean, like the huge monitor lizard, Tylosaurus could not chew the prey but just swallow it whole and alive, simultaneously breaking its bones during swallowing. You've seen a lot of dangerous and frightening prehistoric creatures today and checked out how they swam, fought, and lived, all thanks to animations, simulations, and artists' impression. But here we see real video and real pictures. How is that possible? Maybe this creature's not prehistoric? Yes and no. It's a frilled shark, and it's one of the creepiest fish of our time, and one of the creepiest fish of the dinosaurs' time too. The thing is, the frilled shark is what's called a living fossil. As a species, this shark is already 80 million years old, and in all that time it hasn't changed much. That's why it looks more like an eel or a sea snake than a shark. Currently, the frilled shark is still alive and well and is not going extinct at all. It's occupied its comfortable niche and does not disturb people. These monsters swim at a depth of almost 5,000 feet. This is good news for us because we will not encounter this shark while diving or at the resort. But scientists are not happy about it. Because of the deep-sea lifestyle of these sharks, it's very difficult for researchers to study them properly. But they do know a few things, as the frilled shark has been observed for over 100 years. For example, it's known that the jaws of the frilled shark are very stretchy and allow them to swallow whole prey half their own length. And they also hunt more like snakes rather than like common sharks. They bend their bodies and make a jerk on the principle of a spring. In addition, they're able to close the gill slits, creating a negative pressure inside the mouth cavity and thus suck the prey in. Numerous rows of small and needle-sharp teeth prevent the prey from escaping, so whoever's caught in the jaws is doomed. Stay tuned because further in the episode you'll see shark encounters that could very well be plots for horror movies. Sharks arouse genuine interest, mixed with a sense of unconscious fear in any person. More horror stories have been written about them than any other sea creature, and movies have played their part in it. But what's coming up today is far from being fragments from horror movies, it's real life. In this episode, you'll see crazy shark moments that you shouldn't watch alone. Let's go. Boating is a very relaxing, pleasant, and unusual activity. What can go wrong? After all, the boat's quite fast, there are no strong waves, and the weather is also wonderful. Meanwhile, trouble was waiting for people where no one was waiting for it. A shark magically jumped on board the boat. Moreover, it didn't just appear to people, it was stuck between the iron beams and couldn't get out. Because of this, the predatory creature mangled itself, trying to cope with the beams. Nevertheless, the shark couldn't get out until humans helped it. As scared as humans were, they still helped the predator get back into its native habitat. And what would you have done? Write in the comments. And again, it jumps up to people. Yes, as you've guessed, now I'll show you a video with a similar plot. A group of people were standing on their boat fishing when suddenly in the distance they saw a shark jumping out quite high above the water level. At first they thought it was funny, but after a couple of seconds, such skills of the shark led it straight to the people. The creature nearly knocked everyone there off their feet, but the guys managed to get up to safety. It's kind of unknown how exactly they dealt with the shark onwards, but personally, I can't even imagine how to help the shark in this case. It's very dangerous to push it with your hands, and using something handy means having a chance to damage the shark's fins. Caught the character of the movie Jaws. In 2020, a group of scientists went to the waters of the Northwest Atlantic to catch the largest white shark there. The people were very well prepared, and it bore fruit. A few hours passed, and the shark was already on board. Seeing its scars and size, the scientists decided that it was the grandmother of all sharks and the main instigator of matriarchy in the ocean. However, when you look at it, it's clear Jaws movies fooled us all a bit. There are simply no such big sharks as in the movie. Well, or they just haven't been recorded by scientists. Nevertheless, the found creature was more than 16 feet long and weighed about 3,500 pounds. That's not so bad either, especially if you compare it with the two previous guests of our episode. Imagine if a granny shark like this had jumped on board to them. Who's hiding here? That's what shark named Bullet must have thought, noticing some strange iron cage hiding three people from its tenacious jaws. The predatory creature tried as hard as it could to hack into people's security system and get at its prey, but it failed. I wonder if people's hearts were beating hard at that moment because of the experiences. In any case, after several attempts, Bullet decided to retreat and swarm off on its own, giving the humans a watchful and slightly displeased look because of the outcome. Being a diver is by no means an easy job. At the very least, you risk your life every time you dive to the bottom of the oceans and seas and take magical pictures there. Don't believe me? Well then, here's a real example. A group of underwater explorers encountered a whole group of sharks. The predators circled around, and the man descended closer to them to take mesmerizing pictures. Only in response to this decision, he received only the scariest kiss of his life, because the kiss was from a shark. In the process, the fish took off the diver's mask and, fortunately for the man, didn't want any more. Either it just frightened him or decided to play an unusual joke on him. It'd be really cool if people knew how to put sharks and all other dangerous animals into a trance. It's a great way to reduce their aggression and stay unharmed. But wait a minute. Looks like someone already knows how to do it. Look at the way this guy behaved when he was confronted by a tiger shark. He first stroked it, then somehow touched its nose, its lower part, and with this action it looked as if he had tamed one of the most dangerous sharks in the whole world. It was exciting to watch, to say the least. The female hero. That's what I'd call this woman, since she fought off a shark with her bare hands. As I understand it, the girl had almost no experience with these predators before. This is the most ordinary tourist who wanted to dive in the water and take cool footage with her GoPro camera. And she definitely succeeded. Not only did she take some great footage, but she also had an unforgettable experience. Now the woman can tell her friends that she single-handedly chased away a large and dangerous shark with her bare hands, or rather with just one fist. Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Now that's what I call a real unusual screamer. Just imagine what it was like to see it with your own eyes. After all, the water there was muddy, one couldn't see anything, and then, just out of nowhere, bam, and a shark rapidly crashes into the cage with its jaws open. I'm watching this moment over and over again, and I'm as scared as the first time. You do realize that if it hadn't been for the fence, the shark would have just swallowed the human whole. Just look at the position of its jaws. It's horrible. Actually, I wouldn't call that video of the screamer in a cage scary. Yes, it's possible to lean back once because of a surprise, but people were in a cage and nothing bad could have happened. However, there's another situation in this episode that can really creep you out. A group of people were relaxing on some big boat, and one of their favorite things to do was to slide down a slide right into the sea. Here comes this girl's turn. She bravely sits down, slides down with joyful shouts, and in her mind, everything is wonderful. However, people who watched all this from the side realized what trouble the lady was in. She went down into the water where a dangerous shark was waiting for her. The men on the boat immediately began to shout and told her not to make any sudden moves. The video cut off at that moment when the girl made eye contact with the shark. As creepy as the story looks from the outside, don't worry, the girl's fine. The captain of the boat managed to chase away the predator and lift the girl back onto the boat. As she says herself, this story will stay in her memory forever, and all the stress she experienced is definitely worth the memories. Giant shark. I think it was with these two words that the people in the video first described this creature. No one knew how the shark got here and what it needed. Although the creature frightened all the tourists in the first moments, after a few minutes people realized that the shark had no evil intentions. This speculation turned out to be correct because the fish was a whale shark. The species, though very large, is not predatory, and so after a short period of time people were already swimming next to the shark, as if next to their old friend, having a cool time, taking pictures, and even stroking this amazing creature. That's what I call a man born with his shirt on. The diver was minding his own business in rather murky water. He was even looking in a different direction when literally, out of nowhere, a shark stroked the back of his head. Had the diver been a little taller or a little less bent over, who knows how this encounter could have ended? Maybe his head would have ended up right in the shark's jaws and, well, you get the idea. Nevertheless, I wish each of you to be as lucky as the guy from this video. But maybe sharks have an unusual way of greeting divers like this. Because here's another video of a predatory creature crashing right into a man's face. It looked like the shark deliberately wanted to do it. Either the shark wanted to scare him that way or kiss him? Either way, the man certainly wasn't ready for it, judging by his reaction. Are there many differences between river monsters and monsters of the ocean depths? Let's find it out. Hiraruku. Let's start with the fish, which is the true embodiment of all the biggest of the Amazon River. This South American inhabitant bears the title of the real king of the reservoirs because of its anomalous size. Hiraruku avoids fuss and prefers quiet and secluded areas. Because of this, it's not often found in the Amazon, because these fish prefer to live in the green swamps near the main river. And it's understandable. Why would the fish invent something and try to fall over backward, if thanks to its size no one can swallow it? By the way, here's an interesting fact. This fish is unique in the sense that its structure practically has not changed for more than 130 million years. And what else distinguishes it from the others is the way it breathes. It can both exist underwater and get air from the outside. For that, its pharynx and air bladder are covered with lung tissue. With its help, the fish can breathe air, including ordinary air, periodically sticking out and swallowing it with its wide mouth. This is the way the creature lives. As you can see, it can barely fit in the hands of 2 adult males at once. Adults can be up to 13 feet long and weigh over 440 pounds. Well, you can't hunt on Pirarucu by yourself. Bigfoot from Michigan. Sometimes people go boating on the river to go fishing at some point. Other times they just want to get to the opposite shore. And sometimes the reason for boating is a desire to relax and enjoy the views. The third option referred to the author of this video, who wanted to forget about the problems with the help of bubbling water in a calm environment. But he didn't seem to be able to do it. And no, it wasn't his fault. The fact is that the man encroached Bigfoot running on the water somewhere in the distance. Luckily, he managed to catch it on camera, and the video definitely caused a lot of controversy on the internet. The creature, completely covered with fur, about 6.5 feet tall or taller, was walking through deep water as if on the shore and holding something incomprehensible in its hands. The man was right to not make any sounds or signals. Who knows how this could have ended? Do you think it could have been a real Bigfoot? Or did the man post a fake video on the internet? Share your thoughts in the comments. And now I suggest we go back to real life and appreciate the very real creature that fishermen caught. He managed to pull out the so-called pariba of the water. It's a rare and dangerous fish which can reach size of 8.2 feet. Its weight's about 330 pounds. There are many rumors about this creature. Fishermen have seen much larger fish of this species. However, such cases have not been officially recorded. Don't be afraid. Despite such terrible size, frightening appearance, and power, the fish lives on the bottom and prefers to hunt on small fish or its young congeners. Interestingly, although pariba is a fish eater, birds, snakes, and remains of monkeys and other forest mammals are found in its stomach when caught, giving rise to legends about pariba hunting people. And you know, something even makes me believe in such a legend. Just look at the size of this fish. Even 3 men can barely hold it. Write in the comments, what do you think about this? Is such a creature really capable of swallowing a human? Or is it all nothing more than a thin story? Guest from Alaska. Our next guest came straight from cold Alaska. People still can't tell for sure who or what it is. The thing is, only the tip of the creature was caught on camera. No one dared dive into the water to satisfy their own interest. The story of its discovery is as follows. Alaska land supervisors noticed some movement in the Chena River, but wrote it off as huge blocks of ice rushing under water pressure. A little more time passed, and people changed their minds. They noticed signs of a living being in the movement of this object. It wriggled, changing direction and sinking slightly under the water, then returned back to the surface. Curiously, people had noticed something like this before, but for a long time, no one attached any importance to it. Now, scientists puzzle over what or who could it be. Some attribute the find to an ancient mystical creature. Others say it's the almighty frostworm, and the rest are still confident that it's the usual movement of ice, which changes its direction due to the versatile flow. What's your opinion? Strange creature. The creature I'm going to talk about, though, has appeared to people. It's not become less mysterious because of this at all. Fishermen in the province of Krabi, Thailand, caught this spider-like creature in the local river. It moved with the help of long limbs and had a black as tar color. At times, the creature lay still as if pretending to be dead, but as soon as people touched it with their stick, one could immediately notice its moving legs. Fishermen's friends are sure that the guy stumbled upon an unusual kind of starfish, which at the same time, he himself doesn't believe in such a theory. In his opinion, it's something still unknown to mankind. Chaser. And here's another unusual creature that ordinary people managed to catch on camera. But this time, no one fished it out, and it was probably for the best. Because the mysterious creature had enormous size and clearly chased a boat with people floating on this river. The funny thing is that the people didn't even pay attention to it during the filming. They were too much involved in getting emotions. But let's take a closer look at the video. Did you see that too? Take a closer look at the water. In the footage, you can see that the boat slows down, and at that time something incomprehensible appears. Is it a ghost of some person, or a big fish, or some large object? As you understand, so far it's not been possible to find out the exact answer to these questions, and after a group of friends saw it on their phone, none of them expressed a desire to float on the river again, and they can be understood. Golden Dorado. Let's go back to the real creatures and check out the legendary catch of the fisherman in the following video. He managed to catch a golden dorado, a real trophy fish that's considered one of the must-do challenges for every self-respecting fisherman. The fish is a distant relative of the African tigerfish, but it doesn't have such a wide and rich in teeth mouth. Nevertheless, the golden dorado fully compensates for this with its hot-tempered and uncontrollable character. Fish of this species can be up to 3.2 feet long and weigh more than 55 pounds. Compared to the creatures we had in this episode, this is so far one of the best options for fishing alone. At the very least, an adult will be able to catch a golden dorado alone. You have to agree that this unusual color, as well as the difficulty in catching, are perfectly combined and make the fish literally a gold medal for fishing skills. It's very symbolic and beautiful. The catch of a lifetime. That's what the fishermen in the following video called what they caught on one beautiful day. In the Canadian Fraser River, people were able to catch a 348-pound sturgeon, and not just to catch, but also to film its spectacular jump over the water. On the footage, you can see how the hooked fish is trying to avoid death, wriggling with all its might. In the process, it even soars above the river level and is forever remembered by both men who caught it. All those who are worried about the fish, don't worry. The fishermen immediately released the creature as soon as the fishing process ended in success for them. It was kind of like a catch the biggest fish ever challenge, and they definitely pulled it off. I wonder how many other people would release such a large and rare fish. Something tells me not very many. And this Australian creature, on the other hand, is one that any reasonable fisherman would immediately let go back into the water. Why mess with such a disgusting creature which face resembles the villains from the Alien movie at all? And it would be fine if everything was limited only to a terrible muzzle, and it could be understood, but there's also the body of a snake. That's creepy. How does nature create something like that? On the other hand, why be surprised? It's Australia. They have all sorts of things in the desert and in the water. As the author of the video, who's also a fisherman, says, this 6-inch long fish with a body resembling that of a snake had a big toothy mouth but no eyes. The fish looked stunned but didn't move or wriggle. Who knows? Maybe this way the monster pretended and tried to lull the fisherman's vigilance, or something really happened to the creature. In any case, we won't know the exact answer. Maybe it's for the best. I wish everyone not to mess with such monsters at all. That's all, guys. What's the biggest fish you ever fished out of the water? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you later.